Welcome to Traveling Towards Wealth, the podcast where money meets adventure and freedom is always on the horizon. I'm Sarah Jones, financial coach, full-time traveler, houseplant lover, sourdough baker, and your guide to building a life that's as rich in experiences as it is in peace of mind. Each month, we dive into a new theme, whether it's real money stories, the ins and outs of full-time travel, building a business or multiples while on the road, or finding wellness and simplicity wherever you are. Here, you'll get practical tips, honest conversations, and a gentle push to spend, save, and live according to your values, not someone else's rules. If you're ready to design a life you truly love, one where you can travel more, stress less, build financial confidence, shop safer, and wake up every day feeling like you're exactly where you're meant to be, then you're in the right place. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's start traveling towards wealth, one story at a time. Hey friend, welcome back. You probably know by now that this isn't a super polished, super scripted podcast, and there are many reasons for that. One of which, I want to just come in to this space and share what's on my mind, because I know if it's relevant, if it's something that I'm going through, if it's something a client is going through, I don't want to refine it so much that it actually loses its intention and loses the power behind it, right? And so I don't fully script these. Sometimes I might put an outline together just to keep myself on track. But really the goal of this is to come in and bring what's real and raw and true and happening right now, so you hear it in real time, so you hopefully get the lessons from it, or you can take action from it, or it resonates with you in the realness of it. Because let's be honest here, life is fucking hard, and a lot of stuff happens that we don't know how to navigate, or we just feel lost, we feel confused, we feel sometimes hopeless, sometimes helpless, sometimes we feel very vulnerable, and that makes us very uncomfortable. And sometimes we just feel at a complete loss. And sometimes that borders on maybe some naivety, right? So here I'm coming at you today because I want to talk a little bit about grief and money, and how grief and money play this really bitter battle with each other. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about this. I hear a lot of people talking about grief. I hear a lot of people talking about money, but not grief and money, as they try and coexist. And when you're going through a period of grief, could be loss of a job, could be loss of a significant person in your life, it could be loss of an idea or loss of a business, something that you hoped for that isn't coming to fruition. There's loss all around us, right? And we experience loss in many different ways. And then therefore that grief comes in different waves and different ways depending on what it is that we're grieving. We grieve people differently, right? Depending on how that relationship, how close of a relationship we had. When it comes to money, there's this, what I see happening a lot, and I will pull from my own experience with this. I will pull from experiences that are happening right now in our lives, and I will pull from experiences that my clients have had and they have shared with me, and things that I've worked through with my clients. So as we're going through this podcast today and you're hearing me talk, please know that all of these experiences, all of these examples are real life, true examples that I've either lived through, am living through, or have helped people navigate through. So interesting, when my dad passed away 16 years ago, almost 16 years ago, we went through we weren't even able to grieve. And I shared this on probably a couple of past episodes, where we didn't feel like we could really grieve because we were so worried about the money part. He didn't leave us a will. He didn't leave us life insurance. He left virtually no money in a checking account, nothing in a savings, nothing. And so the financial responsibility of services, of taking care of his estate and all of that, it fell on us 3 kids, mainly myself and my husband, because my 2 siblings were not able to help. And so there was like this period that we weren't able to grieve. I wasn't able to grieve because I was so worried about the money from it. I was so worried about how are we going to pay for this, that I wasn't able to fully grieve. And there were periods of grief that I was really fucking angry. Really angry over the situation. I was angry at him. I was angry at my siblings because they weren't able to help. And why did this fall on me and my husband when we were working so hard and I felt we were responsible with our money? We had just become debt free. And why was this responsibility our responsibility? Why did it fall on us? And so there was a lot of anger involved. After we got through that initial shock, the initial financial burden, I will call it, I moved into this state of, I don't know that I was even fully grieving, but it was this kind of this fuck it period. Oh, we deserve it. Life's too short, so we'll just go and spend this money. Life's too short to keep putting it off. It's okay to spend money. You can't take it with you when you die, right? I used all of the statements, all the justifications that I could to go and spend money. And I will tell you, none of that, it didn't feel better in the long run. It still felt messy and it still felt very uncomfortable and it still was hard. And I didn't feel better about spending money during those times. Just because I said, hey, I deserve this, or you only live once, you can't take this with you, it didn't feel any better to spend that money. And part of the reason is because we didn't have a good money plan to go along with it. It was really this grief and this grieving period that was fueling our decisions, right? And sure, we had a quote unquote budget, but when grief was taking over, the budget wasn't put together in a way, and I've been very open with this, our budget wasn't put together in a way that it actually protected us. It was very basic. What's your current income? What's your current expenses? And, make it a zero-based budget and call it a day. It really was not based in any kind of protection or any kind of forethought of what your life might entail and what might come up. And I've been very open. That's why I coach differently now. That's why I talk about money very differently now, is because that plan that we used to get out of debt was, while it did help us get out of debt, it was not great for actually living in the real world. So grief takes hold. When my gran passed away just over 3 years ago, that grief and money started coming up again. Right? It was this idea of, we had our peace of mind fund built. So I knew that we could travel to go to the services. There wasn't this guilt there. There wasn't this question of how we're going to pay for it. I just knew the money was there. This is what it was built for, situations exactly like this. Let's just get on a plane and do it. But there's still this idea of like how grief affects your spending, and these thoughts come in again of, wow, life is short, so spend the money. You've seen the memes like, life is short, so eat the cake, buy the shoes. And part of that is true, but part of it is just shit advice, right? Part of it is just justifying you making decisions to cover the emotions that you're having right now, instead of the feeling that you want long term, instead of just allowing yourself to sit with the emotion that you were going through right now. You justify spending money because it feels better and it helps you, quote unquote, helps you get through what it is that you're going through. And the truth is, rarely is that actually the case. You're trying to make yourself feel good. That's why they say retail therapy is a thing. It makes you feel good for that minute that you're doing it. But literally, as soon as you leave the store and as soon as you look at that credit card statement, as soon as you look at the bank statement, then you feel like shit. You feel like, oh, why did I indulge in that? Why did I do this? There were other things that we needed to take care of. It's because you're trying to fill an emotion right now versus what is my plan and what am I working towards? How do I want to feel long term? But when grief comes in, there's so many different emotions that happen with grief. And then therefore that fuels a lot of times, or it plays a part. Maybe it doesn't fully fuel, but it definitely plays a part in our spending. I see this every day. I just had a little bit of a conversation with a client, talked about going camping and how one of their friends disappeared and they had no idea where they went. Turns out a day or two later, found out the person was in an accident, ended up in ICU, and this person felt guilty for going and spending on what they would consider quote unquote an indulgence. And her partner was like, that's not an indulgence, that's the least of our worries, or I'm just happy my friend is alive. That's a grief. That's grief justifying something. That's grief. It's not just a new perspective. It really is grief masking the feelings of safety, of justification, of it's masking the true emotions, right? Grief is masking the true emotions. Spending money on an indulgence, or what you would consider an indulgence, has nothing to do with the fact that your friend is alive. Those are two separate things, but we use that as a justification because those emotions, that grief, that it hits, right? And it hits really hard. And we don't know how to fully process it, and so we justify another action. Grief is something that's hard to deal with, and because everybody deals with grief differently, I think we try and help people work through their grief the same way we worked through ours. And that's because a lot of times we don't know exactly what to do. So we share our perspective. But oftentimes the person that is going through the grieving process is so conflicted that they're looking for any reason to do something differently. They're looking for any reason to feel something that feels normal. They're looking for any reason to not have to deal with what's actually going on, because what's actually going on is so goddamn uncomfortable. And money plays a huge part in this, because this is where I see a lot of additional spending happen. This is where a lot of scarcity sometimes comes into play, in that we become terrified to spend money. We don't know. We sometimes aren't allowed to really go into grieving because the financial part of it is the overwhelming weight on the shoulders, just like with what happened with my dad. I see it every single day. GoFundMe's to help with funeral expenses, GoFundMe's to help with unexpected losses. And it plays right into what I talked about in the last episode in Head of Household and Protecting Your Family, in that grief and money fight each other. They're in this, it feels like this battle of, I need to grieve, but no, I need money, but I want to grieve and I want to just feel this, but no, I have to work more. I can't call in sick. I don't have the money to pay for this, but I want to grieve and I want to remember, and I want to remember them for who they were or what the job was. But I deserve to go out and spend some money. I deserve to live. I want to just remember that life is short, right? Do you see this play back and forth? Same thing happens when you're like grieving the loss of a job, right? If you don't have your money in order, you are in this part of grieving something that you had. It was most often very unexpected, and then the uncertainty that comes about of, what the fuck do I do now? How do I cover this? You're put into this situation of extreme stress. So not only are you grieving the loss of the job, the loss of the income, you're now under this extreme amount of stress of trying to handle the situation. And oftentimes I find that people make financial decisions that they regret because it's the emotion, it's the grief that's fueling it, not the plan. And if you're sitting here listening to any of this and you're like, Sarah, this makes so much sense. I feel like I've gone through this. Grief has definitely played this crazy battle with finances, and I really want to help. I want some help to work through it. I'm going through it right now, or I've gone through it in the past, and now I've got credit cards or personal loans that I'm trying to work through. I'm trying to prevent this from happening. If any of this is resonating with you, if you're sitting here thinking, I don't want to have this battle kind of back and forth of grief and finances. I want them to work together. I want to be able to grieve. I want to protect my family. If any of this is resonating, book a call with me. It's a complimentary call. This is something that I help my clients work through every single day, through a lot of different things, but specifically grief, right? And how we process grief and what that does to our finances and how some of that grief shows up in certain ways when it comes to our money. So I just want you to know that what I have found is that just having a good money plan doesn't take away the grief, and it doesn't take away some of the stress, and it doesn't make things easier to handle per se. But what it does is when you have a good money plan in place, it makes the grieving process seem quote unquote more normal, because you're not bringing in the financial piece to it. You already know, oh, I've got it handled. Okay, like this is what this is for. This is why I did this. It's taken care of. So it allows you to actually put those emotions and deal with emotions, right? When you've got a really good money plan in place, you are able to handle the emotions, dare I say, navigate them, maybe not handle, but navigate it a little bit more. What's the word I want to use? Maybe more smoothly, because you're able to focus in that area and the money isn't part of it, right? The money isn't the part that's weighing you down. So again, if this is resonating with you, if you've experienced some grief or you didn't feel like you were able to grieve because you were so worried about the financial piece, book a call with me and let's chat. There are systems in place, but some of this is mindset. Some of it is just bringing truly some clarity to your situation and understanding how money flows and how you can prevent or how you can work through the grief, the financial piece of the grief, right? And so reach out, let's have a chat. My chats are no judgment involved. I'm really just here to help you navigate what is traditionally a really difficult thing to navigate. So if you are going through a grieving process and finances are button heads against that, reach out, let's have a call, let's chat. And with that, I will say goodbye for now, my friend. Thanks for joining me on Traveling Towards Wealth. If today's episode sparked something in you, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share this show with a fellow free spirit who's ready to design a life they love. Want to dive deeper? I'd love to connect with you. Book a free call with me to chat about your money, your dreams, and your next steps. No pressure, just a real conversation. You can find the link in the show notes or on my website. And let's stay connected on socials. Follow me on Instagram or Facebook for behind-the-scenes RV life, money tips, and a little gypsy spirit along the way. Remember, your money, your journey, your rules. I'll see you next Tuesday for another story and some practical steps to help you travel further towards wealth, freedom, and a life you love. Until then, keep wandering, keep growing, and keep spending on what matters most.